This video was designed to show you some of the key concepts we went over in lessons 3-6 and 3-7 when we started looking at long division. The goals for these lessons were looking at 3-digit numbers and dividing them by 1-digit divisors. The key steps in solving a division problem are very simple, but you have to follow them. There are only 5, and you just keep repeating them until you're finished with your division problem. First of all, you want to divide, then multiply, then subtract, then check, and then bring down. An easy way to remember this is thinking about this little phrase, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? And we have the D for divide, M for multiply, S for subtract, C for check, and then B for bring down. So DMSCB, divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Or you could think of it this way, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? That's an easy way to remember those key steps. So what we're going to look now is at a division problem, 617 divided by 4. My 617 is my dividend and my 4 is my divisor. Now we need to find the answer, which will be the quotient. So my first step in my division problem, you can see on the right hand side of the screen I have DMSCB, which means divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. Or we even use the phrase, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers, to help us remember these steps a little bit easier. So the first thing I have to do is divide 4 into 6, and I need to think about the most amount of times 4 can go into 6 without going over, and that is only 1 time. Now I've divided, now it's time to multiply. I always multiply my number I just placed in my dividend by the divisor. I have 1 times 4, that's pretty easy. I don't have to do it off to the side. 1 times 4 is 4. And then I have multiplied, now it's time to subtract. I have 6 minus 4 is 2. Now it's time to check. My answer to my subtraction problem is less than my divisor, and that's what we're checking. So because of that, we bring down the next number in our dividend, which is 1. Now we go through the steps over again. We brought down, now it's time to divide again. So we have 21 divided by 4. So we need to think the most amount of times 4 goes into 21, or you need to think about it if you're thinking as it with a multiplication problem, what times 4 is really, really close to 21 without going over? And I would say 5. Then we multiply 5 times 4 is our next step, which is 20. So we've multiplied, now it's time to subtract. Looking at our steps, 21 minus 20 is 1. We check it, 1 is less than 4. Now it's time to bring down the next number in our dividend. And then we go through our steps again. 4 into 17 goes 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. 17 minus 16 is 1. We check, 1 is less than 4. We would look at our next number, which is bring down, but there's not anything else to bring down, so that means the number 1 is going to be our remainder. In other words, that's what's left over after we divide 4 into 617 154 times with 1 left over, so that's our remainder. So remainder of 1, so 617 divided by 4 equals 154 with a remainder of 1. Now we're going to look at one more problem, 926 divided by 3, and this is going to be a problem that has a 0 in the quotient, and we can take a look at what we're supposed to do whenever we have that type of problem. You can see on the right hand side of my screen, once again, I have DMSCB, which will remind me of my steps I need to take whenever I have a division problem. I divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down, or once again, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers, as an easy way to remember it. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at 3 into 9. I'm just going to break this down step by step. And I think about what's the most amount of times 3 can go into 9 without going over, or if I'm thinking it through the lens of multiplication, what times 3 is either exactly 9 or really, really close to 9. So I know 3 times 3 does give me 9, so I'm going to put 3 right up in my quotient. So I've divided, now it's time to multiply. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Now it's time to subtract. 9 minus 9 does give me 0. 0 is obviously less than 3. So it's now time to bring down. I bring down my 2. And now I go through my steps again. 3 into 2. Now it's important whenever we're doing long division, whenever your dividend is smaller than the divisor, the answer is always going to be 0. Okay, so 3 into 2, I cannot do that at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 0 right up in my dividend. Alright, now instead of doing 0 times 3 is 0, 2 minus 0 is 2, and so on, I'm going to actually just skip that step. So I divided. Alright, I'm going to skip the multiply, subtract, check steps, and then I'm going to jump right to the bring down. So now I just bring down my next number of my dividend, and I go up to the dividing step again. 3 into 26, I am able to do that because 26 is bigger than 3. 3 goes into 26 8 times. 8 times 3 does give me 24. So now I multiply. Now it's time to subtract. 26 minus 24 is 2. I check my 2. I see that it is smaller than my divisor, so that means I'm good. I would go to the bring down part, but there's nothing else to bring down. I've run out of numbers for my dividend, so that means the number 2 is my remainder. So I just write capital R with a 2 representing remainder 2. So I have 926 divided by 3 equals 308 with a remainder of 2. So those are some of the key concepts we went over in our lessons that deal with long division.